Imagine a modest apartment in the quiet Chicago suburb, its faded curtains catching the dim glow of streetlights. The walls hold whispers of a life well lived but worn, scratches from old furniture, a faint smell of coffee lingering in the air. This was Eleanor Rose Carter's world. At 67, she'd become a ghost in her own story, unseen by her daughter, her son-in-law, even herself. But what happens when a woman no one notices decides to demand her place in the world? This is Eleanor's story, and it's one that might just change how you see your own. My name is Eleanor Rose Carter. I'm 67 years old, and until 8 months ago, I was invisible. My one-bedroom apartment in Evanston, but 35 years ago was my late husband, Harold, was my haven. It wasn't grand pink peeled in the bathroom. The stove took forever to heat, but it was ours. Paid off with decades of scrimping. Harold died 9 years ago, a heart attack in the night, no warning, no farewell. Since then, my life shrank to a rhythm of small rituals, brewing coffee at 5:30 a.m. in our old drip machine, wiping down the Formica counter, watching joggers pass through my window onto Sheridan Road. I was waiting for what? I couldn't say. I have one daughter, Lauren, my only child. After Harold's death, I hoped we'd grow closer. I imagined her stopping by with her kids, maybe sharing a laugh over tea. But Lauren had her world, her husband, Marcus, her marketing job, her book club. I was a footnote, a bi-weekly call, a dutiful Thanksgiving drop-in. Hey Ma, you doing okay? She'd ask, scrolling her phone. Fine, sweetheart, I'd reply, my voice thin. Silence would follow, broken by her email pings. I'd offer tea. She'd say she was rushed. I'd ask about Marcus. She'd give clipped answers. Every visit, she'd glance at her smartwatch, as if my time was borrowed from her real life. I told myself this was normal. Kids build their own lives. I couldn't claim. But loneliness is the slow poison. It seeps into your bones, heavy as a Lake Michigan fog rolling in at dawn. I felt myself fading, my days blurring into one long wait. Marcus was kinder at first. When Lauren brought him home a decade ago, he'd hug me, call me Miss Ellie, and bring me daisies from the corner store. I was so desperate for connection. I believed he cared, but those daisies stopped coming, and I noticed his eyes sharp, appraising my apartment, measuring its worth. Miss Ellie, this carpet's seen better days, he'd say, or, this place could use a modern touch when we get it, as if my life was just a lease they were waiting to inherit. Their slights were small but sharp. At a dinner I spent hours preparing roast chicken with rosemary. Harold's favorite. Marcus pushed his plate away. Bit dry, don't you think, Lauren nodded, barely eating. They left the table, chatting about their dream home in Wilmette, while I scraped leftovers into the trash. I said nothing, just scrubbed dishes, their laughter echoing like I wasn't there. My neighbor, Mrs. Delgado, saw it too. One day, as we sorted recycling in the building's basement, she said, "Eleanor, your daughter's got no respect. My kids don't visit either, but at least they don't treat me like a landlord." Her words stung because they were true. The breaking point came on a chilly October afternoon. I was in the bedroom, folding laundry, when Lauren and Marcus arrived unannounced. Their voices drifted from the living room. "What's this place worth now?" Marcus asked. "Maybe $300,000 was the market," Lauren replied. "Enough for a deposit on that house in Glencoe," Marcus chuckled. "Your mom's not selling though, is she?" Lauren's voice was cold. "She won't be around forever. This is ours when she's gone." Marcus sighed. "Thank God, because faking nice is exhausting." I froze, clutching a towel, my chest tight. Tears fell, not from sadness but from betrayal's sharp edge. My daughter, my only family, saw me as a hurdle to their dreams. I stayed quiet until they left, then sank onto the couch, staring at the cracked ceiling. The L train rumbled outside, a sound I'd heard for decades, but now it felt like the world moving on without me. I asked myself, when did I become this? A woman whose life was just a placeholder for someone else's plans. That night, rage bloomed not loud, but cold and clear. I was done being a shadow, done begging for love that came with strings. I decided to take my life back. The next morning, I didn't linger at the window. I pulled out a spiral notebook from Harold's old desk and wrote every slight, every cold word, every time Lauren checked her phone instead of my eyes. 6 pages of truth. I wasn't imagining it. They diminished me, but I was ready to rise. Lauren and Marcus sensed a shift. 3 weeks later, they came over. All smiles was the pitch. "Ma, we're looking at houses," Lauren said. "No hello. This apartment's too much for you alone," Marcus added, his voice smooth as the salesman. "Sell it to us, family discount." Family discount. They meant give it away, erase my security for their game. I inhaled deeply. This place holds too much of Harold. I'm not ready. Lauren's eyes narrowed. "Don't be selfish, Ma. You don't need all this space at your age," Marcus chimed in. "We're planning a family, Miss Illy. Think of your grandkids." Selfish. The word cut, but it also clarified. They'd built a future on my sacrifice, expecting me to hand over my home like it was their birthright. I said I'd think about it, and they left, smug, certain I'd fold. They always thought I'd fold, but I didn't. One morning, at a local credit union on Dempster Street, I overheard 2 women in line. My aunt sold her place, got a condo in Rogers Park, and took a cruise. One said, "She's living for herself now." The other laughed. "My kids would lose it." The first replied, "It's her money, her choice. Why should she ask permission?" Those words hit like a spark. Why did I need permission? Harold and I paid every cent of that mortgage, months after months. Through layoffs and medical bills, nobody owned my life but me. That afternoon, I searched online for realtors, hands shaking but resolute. I called a small agency with 5-star reviews. "I need to sell my apartment quickly," I told the woman, Sarah, my voice firm. She asked for details: square footage, condition, location near Northwestern. An agent calm came the next day, clipboard in hand, his shoes clicking on my scuffed floors. 300,000, maybe $275,000 for a fast sale, he said. No family to consult. I shook my head. My decision was in 10 days. A retired couple offered $290,000 cash, needing to move for a job at Loyola University. I signed without hesitation. I told Lauren nothing, dodging her calls. "Ma, have you decided? We need an answer." Meanwhile, I found a cozy studio in Skokie for $160,000, no mortgage. The remaining $130,000 went into a low-risk mutual fund, recommended by a financial advisor at the credit union. I hired a moving company, packed essentials, Harold's old jazz records, my mother's quilt, a few photos, and donated the rest to a women's shelter. By December, I was settled in my new place. Sunlight streaming through wide windows, the smell of fresh paint in the air. I knew Lauren would explode when she found out, so I prepared. I organized sale documents in the blue folder, printed bank statements, and kept recordings of their conversations. Lauren's cold laugh, Marcus's faking nice comments saved on a USB drive. I wasn't just protecting myself, I was arming myself with truth. The confrontation came on a snowy January morning. I was in my new studio, sipping coffee, when Lauren called. "I'm coming over. We are settling this today." Her voice was sharp. I went to the old apartment, still accessible until the new owners arrived. The space was bare, my footsteps echoing off empty walls. I sat on a folding chair, waiting. Lauren stormed in, Marcus behind her. "What is this?" she yelled, seeing the emptiness. "Where's everything?" I stood calm. "I sold it. The apartment too." Silence, heavy as the snow outside. Then Lauren screamed, "How could you? I promised Marcus's place. Give us the money now." Marcus's face crumpled. "Miss Ellie, we were counting on this for our kids." I didn't waver. "This was mine, Lauren, not yours. I don't owe you my life." Her eyes blazed. "I'm your daughter. This was my future." I laughed, sharp and bitter. "Your future? You're 40, with a good job. You don't get to plan my death." I played a recording. Marcus's voice. "Faking nice is exhausting." Their faces froze. "You recorded us?" Lauren gasped. "Yes." I said. "Proof you saw me as a means to an end." Marcus stepped forward, hands clenched. "Give me that phone." I backed away. "It's on a drive, safe. Try anything, and I'll use it." Lauren's voice turned icy. "You're no mother. We'll never forgive you." I met her gaze. "I can live with that." They left, the door slamming, snow swirling in their wake. I stayed in the empty apartment, heart pounding but spirit steady. I'd said no. I'd stood my ground, walking through the bare rooms. I touched the walls where Harold and I hung our first photos. "Thank you," I whispered, and locked the door for the last time. Back in my studio, the light felt brighter, the air cleaner. I brewed tea, sat by the window, and smiled, not forced, but real. I'd chosen myself, but the fallout wasn't over. Marcus's brother, Jamal, called, voice heavy with judgment. "You crushed their dreams, Miss Ellie." "That's cold," I replied. "When did they call just to check on me? When did they see me as more than a bank?" He stammered, then hung up. Lauren sent texts, photos of a Wilmette house. "Please about grandkids. Ma, think of your legacy." I didn't respond. One spring day, I met an older man, Mr. Chen, at the Skokie Library where I'd started volunteering, shelving books and reading to kids. He was a widower, his children in California, rarely visiting. "They're busy," he said, shrugging, "but I'm not a burden." We talked for hours, sharing stories of being overlooked. "You are enough," I told him. He smiled. eyes misty. That connection pushed me to seek more people, purpose, life. I joined a pottery class at the community center on Oakton Street. The teacher, Miss Alvarez, had a gentle voice and clay-stained hands. "No raw shapes here," she said. My first pots were lumpy, but I loved the feel of clay, the wheels hum. I met Anita, a retired nurse, with a quick laugh, over coffee at a local diner. She shared her story, a controlling son, a life reclaimed. I told him, "I'm not your ATM," she said. We bonded, walking along the North Shore Channel, trading stories of resilience. Lauren kept pushing. She showed up at my old building, ringing the bell. I was there, grabbing a forgotten lamp. "Ma, I'm sorry," she said, eyes red. We were desperate, not cruel. I asked if I had no apartment. "Would you be here?" she faltered. "You know why," I said. She left, silent. I felt no guilt, only freedom. 4 months later, Lauren appeared at my studio, alone, looking worn. "I'm in therapy," she said. "I pushed you away because Dad's death broke me. I couldn't face you without seeing him." Tears fell. "I'm sorry, Ma, not for the money, for treating you like you didn't matter." Her words felt raw, real. "That's a start," I said, cautious. "You can call, but no demands, ever." She nodded and left. Marcus wrote later. They'd divorced, both realizing their marriage was built on chasing status. "You showed me boundaries are strengths," he wrote. I felt neutral. Their paths were theirs now. Pottery became my joy. My hands grew steady, shaping bowls that held my pride. Anita and I planned a weekend in Door County cherry orchards, art galleries, fish boils. I laughed, loud and free. The lake breeze in my hair. Anita said, "You're fearless, Ellie." I wasn't sure, but I felt alive. A pottery exhibition. My pieces, a dark vase for my past, a swirled bowl for my struggle, a bright cup for now, told my story. Lauren came, holding tulips, nervous. "I wanted to see your work," she said. We walked the gallery, and she saw herself in the swirled bowl. "I was your storm," she said, "but you found your light." I nodded. "You taught me strengths, Ma." I tucked the tulips, hand steady. She stayed, chatting with Anita, Miss Alvarez, part of my world for the first time. A year later, I sat in the park near my studio, watching kids play. Mr. Chen joined me. "You inspired me," he said. "I told my kids to visit or lose me. They're coming next month." I smiled, my heart full. That night, I wrote in the journal, "I chose myself. Love isn't sacrifice. I'm free, and that's everything." Where are you hearing this story? Share your thoughts below. I'd love to connect. If Eleanor's journey moved you, a super thanks. Keeps these stories coming. Check out 2 new tales on screen and subscribe for more. With warmth and respect. See you in the next story. I